Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this January 1st version of AM Live on EOA. January 31st. We're glad you're here. Yeah, that's all right. Gotta have a muff up every once in a while. We're glad you're here, and we're on Roku. Don't ever forget that. So, yep.
You can download Roku. You just go on the Roku app, search EOA Live.
Yep.
Our logo will come up. Click on it. It's that simple.
Yep, super easy. So how you doing, man?
Second Monday.
It's like it was cold over the weekend. I mean, just bitter.
And then today it warmed up. It's warmer out there.
Is it this morning?
Nothing was frozen, and there's snow, so
all of that helps.
Yeah, it wasn't near as cold today. I noticed it. I was the dog sitting for the last week and a half, and my parents' house is always really hot, so I opened the windows just a little bit in the guest room, keep the door closed, and that night it got really cold. I had to shut that window.
Wow.
And I like it cold, but it was frigid. It was like down in the low single digits. That's too cold.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of any of it. I want it like 75, sunny, golf weather. No wind.
No wind. Yeah. Really nice.
Yeah. Which is like, doesn't happen very often around here, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
you want to do the sports?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go.
EOU men's and women's basketball both had doubleheaders this weekend, Friday and Saturday, up at Quinn Coliseum. The women swept Walla Walla and number 9 LC State. The men lost to LC State but beat Walla Walla, I mean, handedly. With the women's win, they moved to first place in the CCC, and they were the CCC team of the week, which is kind of cool. The CCC gave me a compliment.
Did they?
Yeah, they poached one of my pictures and used it for their post. I loaded it. I'll show everybody. Look, I was strolling through social media, and I see this picture right here, and I'm like, dang, that picture looks familiar. And so I went through my Instagram, and yeah, it's one of my pictures. Yeah, but oh, well, it is what it is. The men's wrestling team, let's talk about track and field first. Maggie Ledbetter, she a thrower up there at EOU, an All-American. She got women's field athlete of the week in the CCC for the 3rd week in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, she's turning it up. Tanner Nett got men's field athlete of the week from EOU as well. He's a thrower, and so the indoor track and field team is doing really well. Like the throwers, especially, they're on fire. And then Michelle Herbis, who's been on my show before, she broke her own record, which she set a couple weeks ago in the mile for women's as well. So, I mean, it's good. We'll see. No TJ Davis, and probably no TJ Davis in the spring either, which is crazy because he's an All-American national champion, and
he injured himself, right?
He just had back surgery and he's recovering. We'll see. He doesn't know what's going to happen in the spring yet, but it's not looking good. Definitely not going to compete this winter. Wrestling, men's wrestling. They had senior night on Friday night. I didn't get to go. I had to work at my other job, but they beat Embry-Riddle, who was number 19 in the country. EOU sits at like number 8. And then they turned around and wrestled Corbin at the high school on Saturday and beat them as well. I'm going to ride with them tomorrow to Prineville to take on Southern for the wagon wheel. It's a big wagon wheel that whoever wins gets to bring home. And it's a rivalry. It's going to be a heck of a match. We're going to stream it right here on EO Live, 6 p.m. on Wednesday. And then I'm going to do some video, do some fun stuff with the guys. And I sat down with both of the 2 really good wrestlers at EOU. Hunter Sparks, who won the Missouri Valley Invite, which is a crazy big tournament in Missouri. He was named most outstanding wrestler of that tournament, and Jay Smith, who's a 197-pound national tournament qualifier last.
I'm a senior in high school. Azure says, hey, Jay Smith, get Dodsley to come wrestle at EOU. What are you telling me?
It's probably one of the best decisions I made in my life, and I think it'd be crazy for you to not at least try coming down. Like, you could come down, stay at my place, I'll put you up, get you, I'll feed you. We'll have fun, just show you what it's all about. Good college experience, show you what we're doing over here. But just check out the team, check out the environment, and I don't think there's any chance to say no. It's just
awesome.
One of the best things and one of the best decisions I made in my life. So just at least come check it out.
It's the place to be, man. We got the environment. It's a small little town, which I think helps out a lot with, as I stated earlier, that brotherhood. We got everybody super tight with each other. Even if we're not in wrestling season, everybody's hanging out with each other. We're just a super tight knit community, and we're still climbing. We've gotten better, and we've still got a whole lot more to do and prove to people. And I think Grandview and Life, like I said, are the teams to beat. But give us another 2-3 years, Eastern Oregon's going to be the team to beat, and
awesome.
And I strongly believe that.
Yeah, that was Hunter there at the end. This EOU men's wrestling team is that's the kid right there. I mean, we have a couple guys with a shot at national championship, but Hunter dropped down from 133 to 125, and he's just been unstoppable at 125. And he's a Roseburg graduate. He wrestled down in California for a year. He's been at a couple different schools, but he's got a real legit shot at a national championship, EOU, which would be EOU's first.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The LeGrand boys and girls basketball team both lost to Baker on Friday. Baker's just really good.
Yeah.
Both the boys and the girls. And we'll still make the playoffs. We'll probably be second place and in both. And maybe third in boys. We'll see. But there's still some season left, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's about all I got. Like I said, I'm going tomorrow. We're going to stream it right here live on EO Live at 6 p.m. EOU men's wrestling versus Southern Oregon for the wagon wheel.
Cool.
Yeah.
That'll be cool, and it'll be cool. We don't get the opportunity to stream very many EOU sports, and so it'll be really nice.
Cool. Yeah, and here's the other cool thing.
Yeah.
Wrestling's huge in Prineville. I don't know if people know that. And we have a couple of Prineville kids, Crook County kids, on the EOU wrestling team.
Uh-huh.
And that place seats 1,600, and it's completely sold out.
Wow.
And they're issuing 200 standing room only tickets for it.
Really?
Yeah. That's how big this is. Yeah.
And you know what's funny with wrestling fans is there are some fans that are totally fine with standing. I mean, a lot of them. Because old wrestler. I mean, I've watched wrestlers, who watch the game.
Dads.
It is dads, and they're like, yeah.
Football's the same way. Like the dad that has to go out in the end zone and move around and having a damn heart attack. Yeah. So EOU Southern tomorrow, 6 p.m. I'll probably check in live if I can sometime throughout the day. We'll see. And I'm going to film. And big thanks to Benchwarmers and Long Branch for sponsoring it, too.
Good deal.
Yeah, Matt Scarfo is going to sponsor the trip, and it's going to be a real fun experience. I've been wanting to do this with the wrestling guys. I did it with the basketball team.
Right. And
I'm pretty close with a few of the wrestlers, like they follow my son on Instagram. We've become pretty close, and it's an important trip, and it's going to be really fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds fun. Well,
weather.
Kind of see outside, a little crisp, little leftovers of the snow, but
that's more like what do you call that?
I don't
Gabe
know.
has a name for it.
He has some kind of a name.
Got to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really snow. It's like it's really light, and like I went and I look outside this morning. I'm like, oh no, I have to clean off my car. And I walked out there and I touched it like this. And I was like, I just went, and I was gone.
And it was gone.
And it wasn't even frozen, so that's always nice when you don't have to start the car and sit there and wait for
for sure
10 minutes for it to warm up.
All right, well, let's see what Gabe has for us.
We may be waking up to a few sunbreaks to start at Tuesday morning, but notice maybe a possibility for a few snowflakes into northern blues as I'm expecting gloomy skies into the second half of the day. Heading into the day on Tuesday for LeGrand, it looks like this will start out into the upper teens at the 8 o'clock hour. That's your best chance to see a few sunbreaks. Not a lot, but at least something. Southerly winds during the day will gust those winds up to 40 miles per hour in spots, rising those afternoon highs into the mid to the upper 20s, bringing that thicker cloud cover during the day, maybe producing a slight chance for a few flurries the second half of the afternoon and into the evening, but not expecting any accumulations. As we head in my 7-day forecast, sponsored by Valley Insurance, your early morning numbers waking up into a mix of single digits and teens for Tuesday morning, with the exception for negative territory into Burns, that warm spot up into the 20s in Pendleton, which will also get into the 40s during the day, while the rest of us generally hang into a mix of 20s and 30s. Meacham, maybe slight chance for a dusting of snow, otherwise maybe upwards of an inch into our highest terrain, but I think most of our region ought to be dry. That same trend continues into Wednesday and Thursday, where the slightest chance to see a few flurries would be during the overnight hours. Otherwise, we're just dry with more sunshine during the day, rising those highs and lows throughout the week. Our next chance for likely moisture would be Friday, continuing off and on throughout the weekend, with that rain mixing with a little bit of grapple or snow. Those weekend highs get back into the 40s for much of us, overnight lows into the 20s, although Pendleton will see temperatures above freezing overnight with those highs into the 50s.
All right.
That's a lot of information to take in.
Man, there's a ton of data on that. And
Good morning, TJ. TJ called it a dusting.
a dusting.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I
that's
think
a
that's
good
a-
word
that's
for
a
it. A
very
dusting of
proper
snow. It's
term.
really light and
Yeah.
that's what we got. A dusting of snow.
Yeah, good deal. Well, hey, glad you're here with us. We are going to have a couple of people, Katie Geckler and Audrey Smith, are going to be here with us to talk to us about the EOU food drive that is coming up, and they will be with us right after this. All right, we're glad to have you guys with us. Let me move this to this. So glad to have you here with us. You're talking to us today about the EOU food drive. And so, but you guys are pretty enthused about it. I mean, it doesn't sound very exciting. Food drives are like, yeah, I know, but no, but this is I don't know. Why don't you tell me what your positions are and how you're involved in that?
Absolutely. I'll let Audrey start since she represents the food bank.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm the regional food bank manager for Northeast Oregon Regional Food Bank. We serve the counties of Union, Baker, Grant, and Wallowa. And we will use the food from the EOU food drive to get out throughout our service area.
Okay.
And then I'm kind of the EOU branch. So myself and then 2 other coordinators, Matt and Bill, they're professors at the college, as well as a student coordinator, Elaine, will work with a team of students and employees to raise food. So we do some of the events, like last year we did a basketball game where we had raffles. We have local community partners. We're looking at working with Grand Ron Hospital for donations, and we're going to do the fun stuff.
Well, cool. So tell me kind of what do you have planned for this? Because this is a whole month-long thing, right?
Yes.
Starting tomorrow, right?
Woo! Yeah. So it starts tomorrow. We have a couple different ideas. So we did a brainstorming session last night, and the students are incredible because they have the best ideas. So we're investigating singing telegrams for Valentine's Day that you can send to a friend on campus, which I liked.
And how do you do that? Do you buy that with a can, or do you? Yeah, I mean, tell what's involved. I mean, a can.
$1 equals 4 meals,
Okay.
so they can get them, and that might have changed slightly with inflation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people would just pay like $5 or $10, and you would just send it to your friend on campus.
Okay.
So we're looking for singers.
So it's not a food drive in the sense that people bring food, but you're actually trying to raise cash.
It's a little bit of both. It's a food and fun drive.
Okay.
And there's a couple different ways. I know that EOU employees can choose to make a donation out of their paycheck
Okay.
at a time that they designate, which is wonderful. It works as like long-term support for food bank operations, which is really hard to get funding for. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
And then the food hits at an excellent time of the year because all of the holiday food drives are over. That food is gone. So this February food drive hits at a time when we're kind of low on donations.
Okay. No. So then is this just for the EOU campus, or are you kind of hoping that other people?
So this goes out to everyone that our food bank region actually serves. So a lot of it does go to the students. They can utilize it by going to the food bank like anybody else. But it also goes to the community widespread, which is really where we see a lot of that need. So for example, for the food drive, we don't ever ask students to make donations or bring food because we understand that they experience food insecurity. We ask them to help raise the food.
Okay. So, but this is a statewide program that's going on during this month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? And so then each area is raising food or funds for their local food bank area. Is that kind of it?
Yes,
So,
all of the state employees.
okay. And so, I see. So let's say that there's someone out there who's just like, well, I want to participate in this. They're not on the campus of EOU. Can they be involved in that also?
So people can donate to the food bank at any time.
Okay.
If you want it to be counted with the state food drive numbers, you can just let us know when you're donating.
Okay. Cool. And so, Audrey, why don't let's just step back for a minute. And because I happen to know this because we did a video a couple of years ago about how the food actually comes in, and the local food bank is kind of the hub that serves multiple counties here, or community connections. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so maybe talk about how that, and we really saw that was very important during COVID. Why don't you talk a little bit broader about how food actually gets into our area and where it's distributed to?
Yeah, so we get a truck every week from Oregon Food Bank. We are able to get the USDA commodities that most people are familiar with, but we also get donated foods from that food stream. But we also go out every week and get local food donations from our local grocers like Walmart, Safeway, Ora Wheat. Kaufman's Market,
Uh-huh.
and we get all that food together and then split it up between all of our partner agencies so that they all get a good mix of different types of products.
So the food, so some of the food that you get like from the food bank is food that does not spoil. I mean, you have two different kinds of food, and talk about that. You have, and some people might, I mean, they know that because they look in their own refrigerator, but they might not translate that to the complexity of actually distributing food. You know?
Yeah, so we get shelf-stable food from the food bank. We also get frozen food, like meats and frozen veggies. We also get fresh produce, and then we get foods from the local grocery store that are kind of near the end of their shelf life, but are still safe and good to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hope that when people come to a food pantry, they can get a variety of different types of foods, not just when you think of a food bank. I think we think of like a can of beans and pasta and rice, but we have a lot more variety now in food banking than existed even 10, 15 years ago.
And then who is it distributed to? So the point is to somehow get that food that comes in here out to the people ultimately, but most of that is distributed through a distribution network. Tell me where that goes and how do people get that and so on and so forth.
So we have 18 traditional food pantries that do a food box that would be like 3 to 5 day supply of food.
Okay.
And then we have anywhere from 10 to 20 supplemental food programs that might hand out just produce or just bread or just grocery products. And those are placed all across the 4-county area. And we have lists on our website that tell people where they can go to get food and what the service hours would be. But many of the food banks that you might be familiar with in your community are part of our network, like Neighbors Together, Salvation Army, the Grant County Food Bank. Mm-hmm. Those are all part of our network that get some of their food from us, or most of their food from us.
So, and I guess that is, people might not understand that. I mean, they know that, oh, hey, the food bank, and right now our food bank, Neighbors Together, is one of and they're operating out of the church that's out there behind Walmart. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the end user might know that that's where they go, but actually to get that food there is a multi-step process.
Yeah. The Feeding America network is actually pretty complicated. Yeah. So we get donations nationally from Feeding America that get fed through the Oregon Food Bank that then come to us and then go to the local pantries.
Okay.
But it's part of taking really large donations of a single product and making sure it gets spread out through the network so that one pantry doesn't end up with gobs and gobs of donated potato chips.
Right. Because that can happen.
Yeah, it can.
I mean, there's a process to that where people, so no, and it's really interesting. I mean, I didn't know anything about this until we did a video on it. It's like, wow, that's way more complicated than I ever imagined. So, and it's beneficial. So tell me, how are the funds used? Then what do you do with those funds? How are those applied to this matrix of food that you get from here and there and so on and so forth?
So a lot of the funds that we use we use for storage, handling, and transportation.
Okay.
So obviously we have I guess people might not know that I have a giant freezer that's probably about the size of like Walmart's. And we have to power that freezer because we store 4 counties worth of frozen foods in this freezer. We also have a huge cooler for all of our fresh produce. The building has to be either heated or cooled depending on the temperature. I also have staff that build our allocations because we want those pantries to get an amount that makes sense for them to pass out to people. So we take the order from Oregon Food Bank and break it down into amounts that make sense for a pantry to receive. And then we are currently running a route up into Wallowa and then Baker and Grant counties to take some fresh produce to them. That program is kind of newer, and we've been really wanting to get that well established and running. because folks in those areas don't get fresh produce as often as the families do here in Union County.
Okay. And that's just because of the transportation, I would imagine, the complication. So if you had produce that maybe was not super fresh, but was edible, that could be easily, I mean, you could get that, you wouldn't have the transportation issue. Whereas if it's got to be transported and it takes 2 or 3 days to get to the end user, might not be good by the time it gets there. I mean, is that?
Yeah, and our pantries all come and pick up their monthly order. That can be really expensive for a pantry to, some of them even rent a vehicle to drive up from like Grant County and pick up their order and then return. So to also do a produce run another time in the month is just not feasible for them financially. So we like to try to help out where we can with the transportation.
Yeah. Well, cool. Okay, so now then let's go back to the EOU thing. So then how does this plug in, one more time, how does this plug into that bigger picture? So I don't know, talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
So what happens is when it hits this time of year, we get together and we build up a team. And as we get those donations, obviously we track them and we hold on to them. And at the end of the month, then we turn them over to the food bank. So for example, what Audrey said, employees can just get it taken out of their check monthly. I guess their direct deposit now. And then students can donate as far as getting things from businesses or from their family members, etc. And at the end of the month, we total all of that. And then we hand it over to Community Connections.
And as far as the state employees in our area, EOU has been the largest donor for, I think, at least 10 years.
Wow.
So we really appreciate the partnership.
Yeah.
Well, and out of the 6 universities last year, proportionally for size, we got second place.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So how much food a month, or how much maybe a week? How much food a week do you guys comes through the actual center?
So we get up to 20,000 pounds a week.
Okay.
Plus a little extra from, or a lot extra from grocery partners.
Okay.
And it typically adds up to 1.1 to 1.3 million pounds of food per year.
Wow.
Which I don't know that people see our rural area and the small towns that are here and imagine that much food is getting handled.
Well, and that's and that is, 20,000 pounds of food is about half of a semi-load trailer. So if you see a 40-foot trailer going down the road, they normally handle about 40,000 pounds of stuff, but bulk, can change that. So, but no, that's fascinating. And so, and I don't know, maybe talk about for a minute, everybody gives a little bit differently. Okay. I mean, I'm probably a little bit worn on because, we've had the opportunity. I remember most of my whole life, you'd go to an event and there was a barrel there and it would be food drive. And, if you thought about it ahead of time, you might bring a can, and that's not very, that's very passive, but a younger generation, the college age kids, one of the things that's incredibly significant for them is the compassionate side of giving, being involved in their local community, that part of it. I mean, are you seeing that? Is that one of the reasons that food drives from universities is so successful? I don't know. Talk about that for a minute.
In my opinion, from working with the students, they have an incredible sense of civic duty and compassion for people, like you mentioned. I think we see they have all this energy and they want to change the world, and they don't sit there and wait for the world to change.
Right.
And it's incredible to see. That's what I see with the food drive last night. We had, I think, 20 students show up, and almost all of them had ideas about how they could help, what they could do. Should they put it on social media? Yeah. You're right. It used to be much more passive. It would be bring a can with you to get in.
Right.
That was your ticket into an event. And now it's not only bring a ticket, but hey, do you realize that a monetary donation can actually buy 4 times the food?
Mhm.
And the students are out there learning that data and sharing that with the people who are donating. So I think the reach is far more, I guess it's far spread compared to in years past. I don't know, Audrey, what do you think?
Yeah, I have been able to visit with many of the classes at EOU, and I do find that they are very empathetic to folks in their community, and they're wanting to learn more about ways they can help.
Yeah.
And we're excited to do that. And one of the things that I really hope that students learn is that they are absolutely welcome at our food pantries as well. College students face one of the highest rates of food insecurity based on different groups. And we want them to know that they're welcome at food pantries as well. So hopefully they can get the word out among their friends too.
Yeah. Well, cool. How much money do you know what was raised last year and kind of what the goal is this year?
Yes. So last year we actually broke a 15-year record. We were able to raise over $6,000, and we were able to raise over, I think, 1,050 pounds of food.
Okay.
So the goal is always to get more every year,
Sure.
especially when you have a 15% increase on all costs, especially on food. So hopefully our goal this year will be to get $8,000 and 2,000 pounds of food.
Wow.
So we're hoping we can do that. And I do want to, one thing I forgot to mention is that the food bank doesn't just supply food. It also supplies toiletries and other items like that are really important to people who are experiencing income insecurity, right?
Right.
Yeah, and we rely on exclusively donated streams for toiletries. So I know we think of a bag of rice at a food drive, but you could also give a package of toilet paper, sanitary products, shampoos, conditioners. We definitely do get requests from those, and we definitely pass them out quickly.
Awesome. And so is there one need more than another? I mean, would you guys rather have cash or supplies? I don't know what you have a thought there?
So with funds, we can distribute more food. Toiletries are something we don't get unless they're donated. And then I guess the other thing that kind of lags behind the need is quick prep meals, especially for folks that might not have housing or folks that don't have adequate cooking facilities like college students. Those quick meals like ravioli, chili, soups, those are all really appreciated and just aren't quite donated at the amount that the demand is.
Cool. Well, awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming on this morning, and thanks, Katie, for reaching out. And this is a cool thing. Very informative. A lot of people would have no idea, that it's going on or the complexity of it. And so we really appreciate you being here today. And just one more time, if somebody out there who's not associated, Audrey, how could they donate to the food bank?
So they can visit us at the Senior Center, which is where our office is located.
Okay.
If they have a large donation, we'll figure out a time for them to go to the food bank that's out in Island City. Otherwise, we can handle it entirely in the office there at the Senior Center.
Okay. And do you have a website? Could they get on there and donate there also?
Yes, it's ccno.org. We're part of Community Connection of Northeast Oregon.
Okay, ccno.org.
Yes.
And they can find a place there to, and I know I see Kyle typing. He'll put that in the comments so people can find that. So, all righty. Well, thanks, ladies.
Thank you, Brent. You have a good day.
All righty. And we'll be right back.
Eastern Oregon's weather can oftentimes seem unpredictable. One minute it'll be raining, then it'll be sunny and wonderful, then snowing and then sunny, then the next it'll be raining cats and dogs, literally. So how do you prepare yourself for such flip-floppy weather? Well, by tuning into EO Live Weather with me, Gabe Curtis, of course, the most accurate weather forecast in all of Eastern Oregon. I'll keep you informed with daily weather updates that can take an in-depth look through the next 7 days. Because if cats and dogs are literally going to fall from the sky, you will want to know. EOA weather right here on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon. Now on Roku.
I'm ready.
All right, we're back.
We're back. Good morning, Bud. Let me get to these real
Yeah,
fast.
okay.
Good morning, Jessica. And then, like they said, the website's in the comments there, ccno.org. If you want to help donate to the food bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So,
Good stuff.
Well, do you want to get us out here, man?
Let's do it.
All right.
On this day, January 31st, 1876, all Native American Indians were ordered to move onto reservations.
What year?
1876, on this day.
Wow.
On this day, 1893, the trademark Coca-Cola was first registered in the United States Patent Office. But back then, Coca-Cola was more special than it is today. It actually had Coca in it. I wonder, like, everybody was just high all the time drinking Coke. Like, what a world.
Yeah.
Weird. But people were probably a lot nicer.
They could have been.
1940 on this day, the first Social Security check was issued by the U.S. government. 1940.
Huh.
So what is that? 63 years ago.
Yeah.
1999 on this day, Family Guy first aired on Fox. 1999. That's crazy. That's 24 years ago.
Wow.
2022 on this day. You know that game Wordle on the phone that everybody plays?
Yeah.
The New York Times bought it for a low 7-figure amount. It's a lot of money for an app on a phone that somebody just created. You know what I mean? Like, somebody made big money off of that dumb game. And I mean, it was crazy how many. It's still how many people play it. I don't get it, but whatever.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, they're religious about it.
The number one song in America on this day in 2003 was "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. So 20 years ago today on 2003. And then my quote for the day: "Talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love." One more time. Talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love. That's it.
Good stuff, man.
Tomorrow, 6 p.m. live on EOA Live. EOU men's wrestling versus Southern for the wagon wheel. It should be a good match. You're going to see some really good wrestlers. EOU has some dudes. They got probably about 8 guys that are ranked in the country right now, and they're number 8 in the country, and they're good.
And college wrestling is intense.
It's so tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. And one of the things that people don't understand too about college wrestling, it's a full-time 100% commitment. It's a job.
Yeah.
These guys are, so on Friday, I was up there and they're wrestling, there's games during the day, basketball. They're wrestling 6 o'clock senior night. Yeah. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I go in and talk to Azure in the wrestling room. Guess what these guys are doing? Cutting away. They're all like 1 or 2 pounds above their weight right before, and they're all just in there wrestling, sweating, getting warm. You know what I mean?
I wrestled all the way through high school, and it is the most brutal conditioning thing that there is.
Oh yeah, they're in, like, if other sports people go work out with them, they're always in way better shape.
Well, and in college wrestling, that's all they do. I mean, it's a single sport thing, right?
Yeah. Well, we got one wrestler that plays football too, Parker Robinson.
Oh, okay.
So originally he was going to play baseball and football at EOU.
Yeah.
And he ended up switching. Now he's wrestling. He's wrestling on tomorrow. So you guys will get to see Parker Robinson's debut, I think.
What's he wrestling at? What weight?
165.
165. Cool.
Yeah, I've heard he's wrestling, and so I hope that's the case, because that would be even awesomer if we get his debut. Yeah. Because he's 2-time state champion from LeGrand.
That'd be cool.
Yep, that would be really cool. All right.
All righty.
See you on Thursday.
Thanks, you guys. See you then. And so on Thursday, we have Dana London is going to be here talking to us about Buffalo Peak, and Monica McLaughlin from LeGrand Main Street downtown is going to be talking to us about some special Valentine's things that are coming later this month. This is Valentine's month, so we'll see you soon.